Thank you and welcome back to the show for today. My name is Alana McLaughlin and you are watching the second segment of Perspectives. This morning I have Mr. Shannon Sanders, Dove Award, Emmy Award, and Grammy Award winning producer, songwriter, and creative, who spoke in the first segment about his background in education, his upbringing from South Nashville to J.T. Moore to Tennessee State University and above. And so we left off on the first segment talking about Mr. Sanders' career, beginning with meeting India.Arie and beginning to work with her and manage her and write for her. And so we want to pick back up on that. You said about the year 2000 you met India.Arie. How did you cross paths with her?
You know, it's funny because I had a release. I did a record that came out in '99, and so we had mutual friends. Long story short, a friend of mine turned her on to my project, but she was actually signed out of Nashville. A lot of people don't realize that. She was coming back and forth, and she was working with someone who would become a great friend, Blue Miller, and phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal songwriter. And she was coming back and forth and working on demos, and that's when we met. That's when we crossed paths. And then the rest was history. The first two songs we wrote were Video and Brown Skin. And you know, it was crazy because we did video. Video was actually recorded out of Franklin. And then I didn't hear from her for a couple of months. And I get a call. She's like, look, I have to go to Europe. You know, this thing is taking off in Europe, so it started to blow up there before here. Mm-hmm. She needed to put a band together, so I helped her put a band together. Didn't know what we were getting into. You know, after a three-week run in Europe, we came back and the record was exploding here. And then we started a 47-city tour with Sade that summer. So it was a whirlwind from then on. Yeah, so about 20 years of that. And, yeah, it was crazy.
And so after India, after that whole experience, the Europe tour, where did you go from there?
You know, it was just on at that point. You know, I think because people heard the records and then they knew what was possible. You know, that told people what I was capable of. And then shout out to my writing and production partner, Drew Ramsey. You know, the phone just started to ring. You know, and that's how it goes. People see your work, hear your work, and then after that, you know, the collaboration opportunity started. And from there, I mean, you know, the sky's the limit.
And so I can't imagine that all of this would have been easy, especially knowing that as a black man, a young black man in Nashville, in the South. Yeah. And so what are some of the plights that you faced kind of breaking into the music industry as a black man?
Well, you know, I wouldn't say being black made it that much harder. It was really more of a genre thing because back then Nashville was seen and known only for country. Yeah. So that was the hardest part, was to get people to understand that yeah, the city's known for country, but at the same time, it's the greatest creative ecosystem on the planet. And that's the thing. And once we got people here, once people understood what Nashville was and what was available to us and to them being here, it was an easy sale. So it was easy to bring people here and to create. And then from there, they fell in love with it. Anyone would come to Nashville, fall in love with it, and move it in.
Man. And do you still have artists today that still make that transition?
Oh yeah, well now the secret is out. Everybody knows how amazing Nashville is now. Back then it was rough, but you know, that was probably the greatest hurdle, was to get people to understand that there was more going on and that there were other people here other than just country music creators. Shout out to country. You know, Nashville, shout out to Nashville. This is the only city that can say that it hosts a major genre of music exclusively. No other city can say that about any genre of music. So for what country has built here, it's phenomenal, but we can all take advantage of what country's built.
Now, how would you say that country has influenced your music style, your writing style? And I know that you mentioned in the first segment that your grandfather was a preacher and that you were heavily in the church. And so how do you use those gospel influences and country influences?
You know, it all comes together. You know, it's all, you know, it's interesting because it's all the same root. Genre was really always a facade, to be honest with you. Genre means who and not what. Genre started as a marketing ploy, labels and radio, to market to different demographics, to market to black people, white people. So that's what genre was. Country really just reflects Southern music. It's just regional music, you know. So it was always something that made sense to me. Being in the South, gospel, same thing. It always made sense to me just because of my environment. It was just the sound of my environment. And so I would say that growing up here definitely gave me an advantage in that way, especially to do what I'm doing now, because it makes me be one of the only black executives in town that's able to operate in this country space.
Definitely, and I wasn't too familiar with any other black, directors or creatives in town, and I was just so amazed at the fact that you were in country and in R&B and rap, and I know you have your hand in a million different other things, from the Country Music Hall of Fame, Education Association, the National Museum of African American Music here downtown. How do you enjoy that?
It's all great. I'm on several boards and part of several organizations, but a lot of that is because I see myself in a lot of situations where I'm the first. I'm the first African American in a lot of situations, and it's something that I'm proud of. But I feel that I'm securing seats so that I can at some point step back and put somebody else in a seat that can represent that same voice and same perspective. I've been invited to a lot of these tables to represent a perspective, and I'm proud to represent that perspective. But for me, it's about being able to just establish a seat, at some point move out of the way, and put young folks like yourself in these seats that can continue continuously.
And if you were to think about your 10-year plan, what do you see for yourself in the next 10 years?
Just
Still grinding?
oh my God, yeah. Honestly, I feel like I'm really just entering the best 10, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like I really just figured out one thing.
Man, I know, and I'm so excited for our last segment, because we're going to get into the Elvis movie, all the things that you have going currently.
Come on.
Getting into BMI. Actually, I think I want to start with kind of in this last segment, wrapping this up. How did you even get at BMI?
Clay Bradley. Shout out to Clay Bradley. He's my manager over there, and Clay called me. He's been at BMI 3 times, so he's on his 3rd stint there, and he runs our department, the creative department. But the first thing he did when he got there is call me. And he called me because he knew coming in that the African American community was underrepresented from a creative perspective. And so shout out to Clay for knowing that, and for opening this door. And it's been phenomenal. It's allowed us, I've been here for 2 years now, it's been phenomenal what we've been able to create and cultivate in our community.
And in our 3rd segment, our final segment, we'll be picking back up on how Mr. Sanders works with BMI, his current endeavors, including the Elvis movie, and more.